This is a big day for us. Most of you know I'm Eric McClure. This is a day that has been a long time coming, something that we're very proud of. The reason that we invited everyone here is because of how good you've been to us and this region over the years. Want to do some introductions before we get started, then we'll get into the program. First and foremost, we'd like to introduce Charlie Henderson and Don Henderson of Henderson Motorsports. Allowed us the use of the building, and certainly they need no introduction about their contributions to the motorsports world. Virginia House of Delegates, Israel O'Quinn here, a champion of our area, does a lot for our region, involved in a lot of great things, and it's for the betterment of our community. We're really glad that he could join us today. Some personal introductions. Fincham family, we appreciate their partnership with us being here today. More of the Henderson family, Karen from Kingsport Speedway, we're glad she could join us. Just a lot of people we wanted to celebrate in our moment. A lot of pride that we take in the things that have been in the works and all the role that everyone here has played in our lives and our careers. Obviously, she's holding a baby, but I introduced my wife, Miranda. She is a partner in this program and wanted her to be a part of it. Obviously, everyone from Martin-MCCLURE and Team McClure companies in the back, including my mother. So this is an exciting day for me personally. So I do want to thank everybody for being here. I saved this introduction for last. Monica Holt from Emory and Henry College. Emory has played a vital role in my personal life and in my career. I just recently wrapped up 10 years of full-time competition as a driver in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. I tell people that they can never appreciate truly the role that my education played in that opportunity. The opportunities that I had professionally were a direct result from the education I had both at the institution, the college, and certainly through my family's involvement in motorsports. And everything that is here today is a result of that time in my life. So I wanted someone here that shared some responsibility in that and just to show our appreciation for this. So we're here today to talk about 2016 Martin-MCCLURE Racing and our plans. As you can see up here, I'm going to introduce everyone. First and foremost, we have Hal Martin, who makes up the Martin and Martin-MCCLURE. The only one of us not from this area. Chris Carrier goes without an introduction. His history in motorsports speaks for itself. And then we have Chad Fincham on the end, Caleb Holman on the opposite end. And we're really excited to announce what's going to be taking place this year under our banner. Now, a little background. Martin-MCCLURE Motorsports was... I have Morgan McClure on the brain. Racing. Thank you. This is going to be just a tad. It's going to be professional, but we're going to have a little fun. So thank you. But what you see before us here is a representation of the heritage in our region, both from Mr. Henderson all the way down to Chad Fincham. And I say this because the racing heritage in this region is very proud. If you look at this building, what it represents the third oldest team in motorsports today. I'm assuming behind Richard Petty and the Wood brothers. And Charlie Henderson represents the very best that motorsports is. It's the democratic sport. It's the everyman sport that anyone has an opportunity to compete. Next door, less than 100 feet from here, 3 Daytona 500s were won, which is where I grew up and a part of the family that I was brought up in, and my love for racing was nurtured next door. So I think people forget how important this region is to today's NASCAR, from where it started to where it is and to where it's going. And I think that's represented here with multiple generations of participants, a lot of drivers, some from the crew chief and management side and the ownership side, which we're transitioning into today. Now, a brief background before we continue. Martin-MCCLURE Racing was formally started in the summer of 2015. But the concept is nearly 2 years old and was developed on a trip to Disney World with my family and Hal and his wife. Originally started through some loose conversations with Chris Carrier about how fun it would be to step away from full-time driving and fill the late model in some big races and have a little fun and get back to our roots to what was enjoyable. It sprung from there. It has grown exponentially in the last little bit. We made our debut last year, 2 races with Chad driving our number 39 car. We showed a lot of speed for new owners and learned as we went. And we have grown exponentially, as I mentioned, just in the last few months. So I'm going to turn the program over to Hal, a little introduction, and then we'll get into the meat of it.
Thanks, Eric. Well, first of all, thank you all for being here. Those of you who don't know who I am, I'm kind of, as Eric said, the outsider, or the foreigner, if you will. I'm from South Louisiana, and grew up not in a racing family, but as a fan, and worked my way up the racing ladder, started in go-karts, worked my way all the way up, and that's where I met Eric, was in the Xfinity Series. We were teammates for a few years there, from 2012 through 2014. And, as Eric said, we both kind of are at a point in our racing careers where we're kind of looking for that next step, if you will. So, ownership is kind of the way you can kind of stay in the sport and still compete, but from maybe a little bit different perspective, not necessarily behind the wheel. So, Eric and I, we've put in a lot of work and effort into this deal, as well as all the people that are on our team, and very thankful, very grateful to be here. Thanks you to Charlie and Don for having us here with so much heritage, as Eric said, under the roof of this building. So I'm thrilled to be a part of this and excited for our team to get going this season. 2016 will be pretty big, and hopefully we can build it into the future for MARTIN-MCCLURE Racing and everything going on here in Southwest Virginia. So even though I'm a Louisiana native, I'm still proud to call Southwest Virginia home for MARTIN-MCCLURE Racing. So with that, not to take up too much time, but appreciate everybody being here and ready for 2016 to get kicked off. Chris, I think we'll turn it over to Chris Carrier here.
Hello, everybody. Again, I'm glad everybody's here. Thank you for coming and taking time out of your busy days to be here. Welcome to the home of Henderson Racing, and now, at least for now, the home of MARTIN-MCCLURE Racing. We're glad to have everybody here. It's kind of an exciting time for a lot of people. Basically almost my whole life has been racing in some place. I've had some jobs out of town, so on and so forth, different levels. But I really got started very, very close to here. I grew up a mile and a half from Bristol Speedway. First got involved with local racing when I was like 14 years old. Pretty sure I was pretty much in the way at that time. But the first race I was ever really won as a crew chief was in, I think it was March of 1979, I believe, and it was a car owned by Charlie Henderson, driven by a local guy named Larry Usman, who still remains as a very dear friend of mine, and it was at Kingsport Speedway. And since then, it's been a pretty good journey. The journey's still going. I've worked here now. I've been working for Charlie, known Charlie for, 40 years. And I have a lot of respect for him. He has taught me a lot down through the years, whether I was working for him or not. He and Don have taken a lot of steps here recently. We're involved in the truck series, but as Eric mentioned, this idea came along some months ago, and we talked about it, had some conversations about it. And we're at the point where we want to help Eric. We are kind of teaming up. We're sort of pooling our resources, if you will, and our knowledge and our experience, and we believe Eric can help our race team, and we're doing all we can to help Eric with this venture, which is the next step in his very productive life. Eric and Hal are wonderful people. They're going to tell you more about what's going to happen here in a couple of weeks, and how this venture is going to go. But we're here to assist him and try to do all we can for him. I'm very proud of the heritage of this area. You can say Southwest Virginia, Upper East Tennessee, you can call it Mountain Empire, whatever you will, but this is a very rich heritage in the business, the profession, and the sport that I've pretty much dedicated my life to. and it's what I do, it's what I love. And people in this room, other people like people in this room have what built this sport. I think Charlie Henderson and Ed Whitaker are two people that have always been very close and very dear to me, and they're the type people that made NASCAR racing, stock car racing possible. They made it survive. People like that's what carried it on their backs to get it to the point where a lot of people have made good jobs, there's a lot of publicity about it, a lot of great things happen in NASCAR racing, which I think is the greatest sport in the world. We've got two young guys sitting up here that are going to be drivers that have a lot of tremendous talent. It's a really exciting time. Eric and Hal have put in a tremendous amount of hours planning this thing. It's still in the planning process.
All right, we're going to get into what everybody's here for. One thing I do want to emphasize is we are proud of our roots and where we are. I'm from this area. Most people in here are from this area. My family had a very successful racing team in this area. The Hendersons still do. We are going to stay in this area. Our goal is to use the education and the success that we've had, the relationships that we've built, which relationships make the world go around, and we want to establish roots here, Hal and I. We're going to grow our organization to a place that is based locally, that hires locally, that grows locally, and we can be an asset to this region the same way that it has been to us. Now, for the fun stuff. One of the things that I've enjoyed the most of the last few months, especially as I've transitioned away from being a full-time driver, is the relationships that I've formed. I've had many great professional relationships with corporate brands and personnel over the years. But I found that as Hal and I have been through this process, the opportunity to grow closer to Chris Carrier as I've gotten older, to form personal friendships with Chad Fincham and Caleb Holman are part of the reward of this process. I enjoy the challenge of competing. I think that's vital to the way that I'm geared. And I felt that ownership was the next logical step, but it's only rewarding if you enjoy the people that you work with. And we've been blessed to have that opportunity. We want high quality people here. This young man right here, I didn't know anything more than his name. When I was laying in the hospital bed undergoing some health concerns and challenges in 2013, I received a text message from a number that I didn't know. And I wrote back, "Who is this?" And he wrote back, "Chad Fincham." The only thing I knew is there was a Chad Fincham that was winning almost every race at the local level at that time. And I remember being very impressed that someone that young cared about more than himself, that was enjoying all the success of a young driver at the local level, not unlike Hal, Caleb, or myself enjoyed when we were coming through the ranks, but also maintained a perspective and a maturity that you don't find at people of that age. From that point on, I began to watch him. Had the pleasure of meeting he and his family in 2014, and nearly 2 years later, we're here to announce that we have signed Chad Fincham to race with us in 2016 for a minimum of 4 races in the NASCAR K&N Pro Series East Division, racing our number 39 Toyota. It's a very exciting time because it's somewhat of a passing of the torch as we announce these 2 programs. The sponsorship we have for this program is something that I'm personally very proud of. I think it's exciting, and it plays to the legacy, hopefully, that I can leave behind in the way it was left behind me. So we're proud to announce a corporate sponsor for these 4 events. And Hal and Caleb and Hal and Chad will do the honors. I think Chad's statistical accomplishments speak for themselves, but the quality of individual that Mr. and Mrs. Fincham have raised has made it an honor for us to place our branding with him for the 2016 season. Take a couple pictures. Get one by the card. I first met Caleb. He worked, before he came here, worked part-time for Larry and my family up at MARTIN-MCCLURE, and we were racing each other for the championship in late model stock at Lonesome Pine when they shut the track down that year. And that was my first opportunity getting to know Caleb. Since that time, I've gotten to know him a lot better, considering one of my closest friends. I love what he represents. I love what he stands for. No one is prouder of the opportunity he's had at Henderson Motorsports than me. Representing the opportunities in competitive equipment that we all love to have. But what impresses me most about Caleb is the quality of person he is. I think that's what has drawn Hal and I to both he and Chad. Caleb's history also goes without saying. Like Chad, he's won dozens of races. He's won championships. I think he's won on all types of surface and all types of cars. His driving talent is very special. And that is why we wanted this guy under our banner this year. We felt it was very important to have a veteran driver that would be a solid teammate, something that Hal and I have struggled to have over the years, a situation that benefits the entire program. I felt like no one knows this organization better than Caleb. Caleb and Chad have a history together. Caleb is very good inside of a race car. One of his best tracks is Bristol Motor Speedway, where our program starts next week. I take great pride in announcing that Caleb Holman will drive our number 75 entry in the K&N Pro Series East race at Bristol next week. As a representative of MARTIN-MCCLURE Racing and supported by our friends at Henderson Motorsports. I believe the sponsor will not come as a surprise. I don't know. We did the advanced planning department.
No, the picture you set for
Yeah. Come on this side.
Okay.
Sure. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They have great editing equipment.
Sorry about that. We'll go with that here.
There's awesome. Probably not as formal as the Hall of Fame, but you got to have a little bit of fun, right? It's so serious in NASCAR.
Is it?
That's it. No, stand over there. We're taking pictures.
Yeah.
But it's still a little bit about me. Here. I don't know. It doesn't matter. We only care about you. I don't know. This is kind of. Anybody got an awkward meter out there? Awesome. Thanks. Yeah, we'll do more pictures. Oh, you get more time. Don't worry. And is it? Oh, listen. We're going to close, and then Christina will come and reveal what's happening next. We're gonna make some opportunities for some one-on-one time here, follow-ups and things like that. But one of the lessons I've learned over the years, and I don't often get to say this. My dad and his brothers, the opportunities they provided me and the lessons they taught me cannot be measured. They like the Henderson family, were self-made in this industry and provided opportunities for a lot of people and competed and had success at the highest level. One of the lessons I learned, other than how to treat people, was the value of your partnerships. And the joke was, we're here to go fast, but we're not building show cars, but our cars are going to look good, we're going to represent, we're going to be professional. And that's something that I've always tried to pride myself on, and we had a decade-long relationship that's still continuing at this level with Reynolds Consumer Products. I felt like the separator was everything that happened off the racetrack, and I can never thank my family, their example enough, the Henderson family, the example they've set in this region enough. Hal, I know, shares the same beliefs that I do. I think that's what drew us together as friends first, and then ultimately business partners. We're very competitive people. We are very excited about what's going to happen. We believe that we're putting together a product that's going to be very competitive on the track, that's going to open a lot of doors for Chad Fincham while continuing to push doors open for Caleb Holman. It is our goal that as NASCAR continues to expand into the touring series and these drivers continue to go on to bigger and better things, that Martin-MCCLURE Motorsports, while hoping to expand one day, will continue to be a presence in the K&N Pro Series East, because this industry is all about opportunity. The only reason any of us were ever up here was because someone like Larry McClure, Jerry McClure, Charlie Henderson, James Fincham gave us an opportunity. And I was fortunate enough that I had partnerships that allowed me to continue to chase that dream of being a race car driver, and then ultimately transition into this role as I've gotten older. So that's why we're here today. We appreciate you joining with us, and we hope that we can make a presence in this industry that not only opens economic doors for people, but brings a source of pride and honors the heritage that was set forth before us. This is a very rich area in motorsports history, tradition, and heritage, and we hope that we can play a small part in continuing that.